Simply Financial with Christopher Calandra, Certified Financial Planner, is an innovative, comprehensive, informative, and cutting-edge podcast that discusses financial topics ranging from personal finance, economics, politics, and personal growth. Simply Financial will cover intriguing and thought-provoking questions so that the listener can simply increase their financial IQ.
Welcome to this edition of the Simply Financial podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra. This episode is number 36, season number 3. So I am a certified financial planner. I've been a financial advisor my entire career. That is a little over 26 years now. And the firm that I founded, Elliott Wealth Management Services, is built so that we can help our clients win with money. We help them make smart money decisions, help them avoid mistakes, and we want our clients to build wealth and achieve their financial goals. Pretty straightforward. With that said, you cannot, nor should you, save and invest every nickel you earn. You need to have balance within your wealth building plan. I often say when meeting with clients, especially older clients, remind them that they can't take their money with them. It's meant to be enjoyed. And I also sometimes will speak with younger individuals that are simply living for today and are bogged down by FOMO, the fear of missing out, and are not building wealth so that over time they will be more financially secure and have more options down the line. You need, again, to have a balance. So I wanted to talk quickly today about the 3 S's. At the most basic level, there are only 3 things you can do with money. The 3 S's. You can spend it, save it, share it. You could spend it. I believe, and there's ample research out here, and it is common sense, is you ought to live beneath your means, avoid debt, avoid consumer debt, especially car loans, credit card debt that you carry month to month, that kind of stuff. So you ought to live beneath your means so that there's money to build wealth. That's the save portion we're going to talk about in a moment. But you should spend money and enjoy money. Pick your spots to splurge. I remember in my own household, this is going back a while, when the kids were younger and Joelle stayed home with our children and pretty much left the workforce. And we had a standing date on Saturday nights that we would go out every Saturday night, and we would get a babysitter, and we would typically go out and get a bite to eat, go to the movies. Sometimes it was just a pizza. Other times it was a nice dinner, bottle of wine. I'm sure you get the picture. And at one point we went out with some friends of ours who were a little younger, didn't have children. And towards the end of the night, she turned to my wife and said, "Boy, isn't it really expensive for you to go out every Saturday night to get a babysitter, to go out to eat, to the movies, whatever we did?" We were essentially spending money, plus the cost of the babysitter was not cheap. What I'm driving at is Joelle's response, I think, was terrific. Her response was, it's way more expensive to get divorced than to spend money, my husband and I, going out on Saturday night and enjoying ourselves. So during the week, she was mom and head of the household. I was working all the time, a lot of hours, and then Saturday night was our time, and we picked that time to spend some money that was good for me, good for her, good for our marriage, good for our family, and that was a good use of money. And I remember her line vividly that it was a good choice of money, spending money, because the risk was that we may not have as good a marriage if we didn't choose to do this and spend that money. We want to enjoy our money. You have to pick your spots to splurge. Now again, balance. If you splurge all the time, you're probably not going to be able to do all of the S's that we're going to talk about. So be in balance, avoid debt, live beneath your means, but pick your spots to splurge. Spend money, and when you choose to spend money, enjoy what you're spending. Be purposeful. And lastly, let me just say on the spending front, is do not keep up with the Joneses. As I have heard from others, I am stealing this phrase, is don't keep up with the Joneses because they are broke. You have social media today with all of these highlight reels of people's vacations and trips and new vehicles and what have you. Don't buy into that. Focus on your household, your goals, where you are and where you're going, and don't get too caught up in the I'm going to keep up with the Joneses. Let's talk about save. Most of what I talk about on the Simply Financial podcast, most of what I talk about with my clients and potential clients is the saving portion. How can we build wealth? So you need to allocate some of your income to wealth building. That means that not all of it's going to go towards spending. Some of it should go towards wealth building. And that's a broad category. Wealth building is going to include paying down debt, because if you pay down debt, reduce debt, that increases your wealth. That also includes putting money in the bank to build up an emergency fund. That, of course, includes putting money away in retirement accounts like 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs. It includes, of course, college funds, 529 plans, education savings accounts. You could invest in real estate. You could build wealth through ownership in a small business. There's a variety of ways you can build wealth, but you have to take some of your income and allocate it to building wealth. Your future you will not be disappointed as you become wealthier and you have various buckets of money. Money in the bank, money in retirement, money in college fund, have invested in a business maybe, invested in investment real estate that generates positive cash flow each month. There's lots of options, but you need to save. And on the extremes, again, there are some people that I think save so much that they cheat themselves out of enjoying their lives. I don't want to live by that model, but I also don't want to live my life on the other end of the extreme where I don't prepare for the future. Because when you build wealth, and I've seen this already at 48 years old, and I've seen it in the course of my career in working with hundreds, if not thousands of individuals and families, is that when you build wealth, when you have money, you have options. You have options. If the car breaks down, it's not necessarily a crisis. If you get to retirement age and you want to stop working, or you're forced to stop working because you lose your job, or you have a negative health event, you have the option of retiring. But perhaps you get to retirement age and you want to keep working. Well, then fine. You still have the wealth that can continue to grow, maybe allowing you to spend more or share more with charities. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Or to leave it for your heirs. So that's the saving portion. The last of the 3 S's is share. Donate money. Give back to your community. Support causes that are important to you. There's all kinds of charities. There's all kinds of good works that you can support in this country as well as internationally. So you can and should share some money and give back. If you go to ElliottWealth.com at our website, you can see the charities that I and Elliott Wealth Management support. There's something called a tithe for evangelical Christians that's giving 10% of your income off the top to charity. Many people do that. Personally, I do not. But I think a 10% charity is a good goal. It's not what I've done. I've never given that much, but I can tell you as I've become wealthier, as I've knocked off many key financial goals, preparing for retirement, getting kids through school, becoming debt-free, as you check off those boxes, you often feel empowered to give back, to give more money, because once you've secured your financial future, and you're enjoying money and you check off things off your proverbial bucket list, you'll often want to share more and find great satisfaction in donating more than you did in the past. I've seen this in my household, and I think the best is yet to come. But if you haven't built wealth, if you haven't enjoyed your own money, if you haven't been wise, it's probably difficult to share. And for those of you that are listening that may not have built wealth and won enough at money yet, it may be hard to envision sharing money, donating chunks of money. But what I've learned, having met with all kinds of wonderful people over the years, given my profession, I can see how it works. You could only spend so much. There's only so many things on your bucket list. There's so many cruises and trips and gorgeous cars that you could buy, how many great bottles of wine you can get. At some point, for most people, you're going to begin to share your wealth. And if you think of some of the most fabulous wealthy people in this country today and over the course of its history, they're tremendous philanthropic people, especially once they've accumulated wealth. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates are wonderful examples today. But if you go through the history of the United States and the most successful people in the United States, they've tended to be huge philanthropic people. Maybe not when they were building the wealth, maybe not when they were in the thick of creating their business empires, but at some point they begin to do much more with charity. And I would submit to you, as you become wealthier, you're typically going to be more generous. So the 3 S's: you want to spend money, enjoy the heck out of it, but be wise. You want to save money under the construct of a wealth building plan. That's what we spend the most amount of our time working with our clients on. And lastly, share, donate, give back, be generous, and recognize that as you become wealthier, you can and will want to share more, because we live in a great country, a prosperous country, filled with all kinds of wonderful people that need a helping hand. And if you build wealth, you put yourself in a position to help more people in their time of need. So thank you so much for this episode. I will be back with you very soon on the next episode of the Simply Financial podcast. In the meanwhile, please go to the Elliott Wealth website. Check out the charities that we support. You could also find out more about me and the team here, how we can help you win with money. If you're not a client of ours, we would love to do a complimentary consultation to discuss your goals, where you are now, and how we might be able to help. And also, subscribe to this podcast. I could really use some increased numbers doing these podcasts. We want to have more subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Recommend it to a friend. That'd be great. Thanks.
Views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of SagePoint Financial Incorporated and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note, the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of the information provided at these websites, nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management, LLC, not affiliated with SagePoint Financial.
Simply Financial is part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can find Exvadio podcasts at exvadio.com/podcast, the Apple Podcasts app, iTunes Store, iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you find podcasts. So join us and stay informed and entertained.